What stops you from being able to fall asleep easily at night? In today's video, we're going to continue this video series and we're going to talk about the third part, which is very much what I call mental reasons. Now, just to clarify, we're not going to talk about mental health conditions, but what I mean by mental reasons and what might be stopping you to be able to fall asleep is how your mind works. Now, naturally, when you're falling asleep, what we want to achieve is your mind being able to drift off into sleep without being active. The more active your mind is, the less likely you're actually able to do that. And I'm sure you know that already if you're struggling with falling asleep in an easy way. But as I mentioned in the previous videos, our mind is just one part of this picture. We need to have physical, emotional, mental relaxation, all three of them in combination to be able to fall asleep in an easy way. So this is just one part of it. And if you're not sure whether or not the other parts are relating to you, then you're very welcome to go ahead and watch those videos as well. So you can really look at all these different scenarios and look at which one relates to you the most and what you might need to be working on moving forward. So in this part, we very much going to focus our attention on the way the mind works. Now, naturally, your mind's job is to consume information, it's to protect you from getting yourself into dangers by predicting scenarios. The mind's job is to problem solve. The mind's job is many, many different things. So these are just some of those examples. And what I've seen with clients who have trouble falling asleep is that they might be more higher on what I would call a wired range. Now, your mind is active. So, what we want to look at is how negatively influencing it is in your situation. Now, when I look at wiredness can come in many different ways, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But the first question you want to ask yourself is, do you feel that your mind is very relaxed as you're approaching your bed and you climb into bed? Or does it get more wired or busy or sort of swirling around different thoughts as you climb into bed? That's really the way you would know whether or not these mental reasons are playing a role in your inability to be able to fall asleep in an easy way. And we're going to talk about these in today's video. But before we do that, as always, I wanted to welcome you back if you're part of my community already. If you're brand new, then this is the chance I've got to introduce myself. So my name is Beatrix Schmidt. I'm a sleep coach, a professional speaker, and the creator of the Sleep Skills for Life program, which is very much my way of helping people like you who are struggling with long-term insomnia and sleep problems and haven't yet managed to overcome it fully. And naturally, throughout my journey from insomnia to sleeping well consistently, that's what I do in my sleep coaching practice every day, is look at different scenarios, look at different client situations, and really help the client to put in place whatever they need so they never have to struggle with sleep problems again, hence sleep skills for life. Once you develop those different ways to work with yourself, your sleep is going to continue to be in a good place for many, many, many years to come. Now, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, this is the time to do that. And you can also hit that little bell so I can let you know when I post new videos on this topic of long-term insomnia and sleep problems. So now that we've covered that, let's turn our attention back to these mental reasons that you might not be able to fall asleep in an easy way. Just like I mentioned in the previous videos, falling asleep in an easy way means about 20 to 30 minutes as a maximum. But also, a lot of the times, people actually tell me that they want to switch off straight away or quickly. So there is this expectation that it should happen in a very quick way. Now, if your mind is more of an active type, then the transition might take you longer. So it's not a problem if it takes you a little longer to fall asleep. The question really is how difficult it is or how easy it is. If it takes you 10-15 minutes, but it doesn't cause any issues, then let's not make it into one. So again, this is really important to look at your situation. And please don't make a problem into something bigger than what it needs to be. So when it comes to the mental reasons or these mental components that you might not be able to fall asleep, the first step is really to look at your situation. Do you feel that your mind is more on this wired or active stage rather than more of a very relaxed end? So if we look at that wiredness, it sits on a scale. Some clients have no problems and their mind is very calm, very relaxed. Other clients actually have certain traits and patterns that show up for them. But again, one of the most important parts here is we're not looking for lack of thoughts or free of thoughts. If you're awake still, your mind's job is to think, is to conceptualize, is to look at different things, is to assess. So we're not looking for this perfection of no thoughts at all, but we're looking for how heightened those thoughts are. If they're not heightened, that means you are closer to mental relaxation. If they're more heightened, then you're further away from mental relaxation. So that's the first step, is really actually look at whether or not this is a problem for you, or you're not really concerned about this part of your sort of mind way of working. Now, if it is, then one of the first things to do is to look at what are the patterns you see. And this is what I see with my clients when I look at their sleep challenges. Depending on the personality traits you have, you're also going to have certain patterns that your mind gets into. For some people, it's more problem-solving tendencies. For other clients, it might be past-oriented thoughts and almost assessing or analyzing situations. So this is very much about the past or any events that happened to you during the day or even weeks ago. Then you've got future-oriented thoughts. These are often, not always, but often more linked to maybe concerns about how a situation might actually turn out. So see, if there are worries about the future, we're already seeing an emotional component come into this picture as well. Hence, I really looked at these different situations, different parts in the previous videos as well. They're not separate from each other. But sometimes what we actually see is what starts it, what is the first part instead of what follows later on. So if you are more of the future sort of thought type person, then you might actually have some of those worries come in when you start thinking about the future. So that's what I mean by it starts with the mental process first. Other clients are actually what I would describe as just wired. There's nothing specific, it's not past and future, it's kind of a little bit of everything, and lots of different thoughts pop around and swirl around in their head. So again, these are just some of these examples. So what I want you to do is really look at what are the patterns that are showing up for you. Every day is slightly different, so you might have one thing showing up one way one day and maybe another thing in a different way another day. So it's really just about gathering enough information to see what kind of things happen over a period of time. Now, when I struggled with my insomnia, I was very much an overthinker. So a lot of my thoughts were very particularly in that group. And once I tamed that part of myself and helped the mind to really increase relaxation in a mental way, I started having better quality sleep and started being able to fall asleep in an easy way. So again, that's how it relates to how you would want to practically approach it. So once you've figured out what are the patterns of thoughts or behaviors that you see your mind sort of repeating, you can then go and address exactly those. So if it is more problem solving, that's going to be a very different way of dealing with it than if you maybe have future related concerns. Those thought patterns are very different from each other and their nature. So you would want to deal with them in a different way. But a very good first step is if you make time for some of these thoughts to come up during the day, that means your mind will not delay these processes and only start them when you're about to climb into bed and you want to fall asleep, especially for what I would call thinker type clients. So if you're seeing this as a very big part of why you might not be able to fall asleep in an easy way, you got to create time for the mind to process before you climb into bed, because that way you can enhance that relaxation you can achieve, decrease the heightened sort of mental processes or patterns you see by the time you climb into bed. If you carry them into bed with you, it's often too late to deal with them. Not impossible, but often too late. If you really work with your mind, especially if you're more of this sort of thinker type client, during the day, you can prevent these things rising up later on. So this is a very simple way to look at taking out some of these mental reasons why you might not be able to fall asleep in an easy way. And make your mind your friend. So this isn't about talking to yourself in a negative way. So again, self-talk is a really big part of this. Thought patterns and how you respond to your thought patterns are a way you can develop a good relationship with your mind and even learn to comfort it. So this is one of the things that I really teach clients to do when their mind is super active, is how do you work with the mind so you can actually help the mind become more relaxed. This isn't about arguing. This isn't about telling your mind to push away thoughts or push away behaviors. This is really about, just like you would put a hand around the friend when they're struggling, putting a hand around your mind and encouraging it to start behaving in a different way, in a calmer way. So when we look at these mental reasons, what you want to achieve is mental relaxation, and you knowing how to influence that. So this isn't just about switching off. It's about how able are you practically to influence and bring down those heightened behaviors that your mind is actually tapping into or going into. So as a conclusion, the first thing is always establishing whether or not this relates to you and it is part of your sleep problems. If you're not more of a thinker type, then this isn't going to be the thing that you need to work on. And you might want to look at some of those other components that I talked about. But naturally, because our mind is so powerful and strong, most of the time when I work with clients, we've got to work with how the mind is working, because that's really going to help you to deal with all the other parts of your sleep challenges as well. So have fun exploring how your mind works instead of being more critical or judgmental, perhaps, about what your mind is doing. Start really looking at it from these more of a friendly place, a kind and compassionate place. There is a reason why your mind is behaving that way. There is a reason why it's perhaps protective or analytical or even problem solver. There is a reason why those things have shown up for you late at night. And when we respect why they have shown up, we can really start working with them in a different way. And that's very much what I did when I struggled with insomnia as well. I really started looking at how I can help my mind to be more relaxed in many different ways. So that's what I would encourage you to do as well. Look at what's showing up. Look at the patterns, the behaviors that your mind is showing you that are surfacing, and work with whatever you've got going on. That's really the best way to develop these ways of relaxing your mind. That's actually very personal to you, and that means it's going to work for you for many years to come. So thank you so much for watching today's video. The mind is very fascinating, and that's a very big part of my work. So it's definitely often quite an interesting journey to look at how you tame those things that your mind is doing that are negative. It's never gonna mean that it's gonna disappear. A lot of these behaviors are a normal part of who we are, but it's about how positive or negatively they influence us. That's really the question we've got to ask and work on, these taming parts. So if you're interested in more of these videos and you haven't yet, then hit that subscribe button below, hit that little bell as well so I can let you know when I post new videos. And if you like today's topic, then hit that like button below as well so I can continue looking at what are some of the things that you are interested in, and I can record more videos on those topics.